Hello, everyone. This is Brittney Coleman and from NFusionX Meridian. And so we have an awesome presentation today with Miss Sara Smith from Care Lodge. I'm excited for her to talk about grief and how that looks for us during COVID-19. Of course, we want to remember that we want to stay safe during COVID. Remember to wear your mask and to keep your hands washed and to sanitize. But apart from all of the physical aspects of COVID, we also want to make sure that we are taking care of ourselves. And so today is a really special time for us to just really take that time to bring awareness to our self care. So, Sara, take it away.
Thanks, Brittney. And we have Claire joining us with NAMI, Mississippi, and we're so happy that she's here with us. And maybe we can give her a moment to say something about NAMI, Mississippi in a little while. But if you can, pause this video and take a moment to grab something to write with and write on. Claire, would you like to share anything while people grab something to write with?
Yes. Hey, everybody. This is Claire from NAMI, Mississippi. I just wanted to share with y'all that we do have education classes and support groups and presentations, and you can find this all online at namims.org. And I am so excited for today's presentation with Sara and Brittney.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with you so you can see what's going on. I've titled this presentation, Good Grief, This is Tough, but we can make it together. And that's exactly what I have personally felt through this COVID journey. Is at first, we were just kind of trying to figure out what's going on here. Is this real? Do I need to panic? Wait a minute, I'm panicking. How do I take care of myself? And now everybody's stuck at home together in one little space. And how do we take care of each other through all of this? So there's a lot of thought processes going on at one time. School being canceled, sports stopping all of a sudden. You had some little league teams that didn't ever get to play their first game. So there's a lot of struggles out there that people were having to deal with. And we needed to use a little bit of sensitivity when addressing these people because we may not all be grieving the same way. So we're going to kind of walk through the processes of the stages of grieving, unpack that a little bit, maybe have a discussion about what that looks like for us right now and how we're doing a few months into quarantine and safe social distancing. So let's move forward. Anybody else over it? I think we're all over it just a little bit, but we're going to talk about how to move on with it because shutting down is not the answer to life. And if you're living and breathing, you are a part of the magic that happens and the difference that you can make in your community. So let's look at what we can do. First, activity. If you could pack up right now and leave from the very spot that you're sitting in and watching this video, where would you go? Leave a comment below if you would like to answer, or you can just simply share with somebody that you're watching this video with right now. But just take a moment and think about that. Would you go to the beach? Would you go to the mountains? Would you go see your coach? Would you go visit a family member that's in a nursing home? If you could pick anywhere that you could be right now, where would that be? And think about why that's important to you. Is it for the social interaction, the connection? Is it to have fun? Are you wanting to go to the trampoline park? Are you wanting to go swimming? What does that look like for you? And think about why that matters. How would you define grief? When I talk to different people, some people say grief is expecting and anticipating being able to do something, and then you're let down. Our FOMO, fear of missing out. Maybe your friends or your family are all still getting together during COVID, but you are not invited. Or maybe your friends are still going to birthday parties and things like that, but you've been left out of the Snapchat conversation. There's a lot of real feels going on right now, so just kind of explore that. What does grief look like for you? Is it the loss of a loved one? Is it separation from people who you care about the most? Again, you don't have to lose somebody to feel grief. Grief is a natural separation of something that you are connected to or anticipating. And that's not like the Webster's definition, y'all, but just like trauma, there's a specific definition for trauma, but trauma is simply this: experiencing something that has rocked your world and you're trying to figure out how to cope with the feelings that you're experiencing during that time. So grief and trauma have a little bit of common ground there. There is a video link at the bottom of this slide if you're interested in COVID and grief. There's hope, y'all. We are not in this alone. These ladies that are on this call are here to support you. We can become of your support circle if you don't feel like you have anyone to talk to. The agencies that we represent are agencies of hope and wellness, stability, and safety, whether that's your mental health, your physical safety, your emotional safety, or just wraparound wellness. And we will leave their contact information for those agencies in the description below on this video. So walking through the stages of grief, we have the first step, denial. I can remember listening to podcasts, watching news excerpts, and just scrolling through Facebook and Instagram and Twitter and seeing a whole plethora of information out there on this is fake news, this isn't really happening, or hundreds of thousands of people have died today due to coronavirus. That is a sure way to affect your mental health, y'all. I'm telling you, when you keep scrolling and you just look and breathe in everything that's happening around you and everyone's opinions, it can be so overwhelming and can contribute to the way that you feel during this process that we're safe social distancing. So looking at denial, you have comments like, this isn't happening, or wow, is this happening? COVID isn't really affecting us. Wearing masks is just overreacting. They might have a sign up at that store, but I'm not wearing my mask to go in. So there's people that are questioning and doubting what all's going on with coronavirus. But the simple fact is this: practice safe social distancing, adhere to the CDC guidelines. Those things are just there to protect you and make sure that you are healthy and that other people who may be immunocompromised continue to be healthy and that they don't get sick. So when looking at all this, think about others and how they may be affected by what is going on around us. The next step is anger. Some comments could look like this: all this is stupid. I can't go anymore. I can't do that. I don't have a job anymore. You're telling me I can't see my own family right now? What do you mean school and sports is canceled? What am I supposed to do about my kids and my plans, graduation, my ceremony, my scout program, camping? We had a camping trip. We were going to go visit our family on the beach, and now I can't. You're telling me I can't even leave my house? How am I going to get groceries? How am I going to pay for groceries? All these angry statements, right? But I have this little graphic down below, this white little box here. Some people are upset because they missed graduation, rightfully so. Some people are upset because they lost their job, rightfully so. Some people are upset because they lost someone, and that's very justified. Don't belittle anyone's pain that they're going through. Be there for them and help them heal. That is a quote by Jay Shetty. Tons of great videos on empathy, compassion, and self-care. Bargaining is a very tricky stage and can get really conflicting when you're talking about people you're closest to and relationships that you have with others. And we have to be careful because when we negotiate and make promises, it can give us a false sense of security and control when the situation around us is super chaotic. So the example I gave here is, even though my partner is toxic and not kind to me, at least I have someone to share my time with during COVID. It's not always that bad. So see, we're compromising there and we're choosing to remain in a relationship with somebody who is not helping us level up. They're not encouraging us. They're not supporting us. And oftentimes, if I'm speaking truthfully into a situation like this example, the person who is helping the one who is abusive is exhausted from trying to make them happy and fix their situation. We can't fix anybody. We don't have control over anything except for our actions and the way that we respond to outside stimulus. We'll talk about that more in a second. Bargaining is another line of defense to protect us from reality. So remaining in contact with people who are toxic is not such a good idea. And with safe social distancing and quarantine, that can be a real problem. At the agency I work for, Care Lodge, we help people who are victims of domestic violence. And that can be really tricky when you have somebody in your own household who's explosive, or they're temperamental, or they have unmet medical needs, and they're taking out all these feelings of anger and doubt and fear and frustration out on the people who they love the most. And it can be very confusing when it could be a caregiver or parent or sibling or a boyfriend or a girlfriend, a husband or wife. And how do you keep yourself safe, and how do you care for your family while all this is going on? So that's where I get into safety planning and having a safe network of people that you stay in communication with. Because remaining in contact with people who support you and care about your safety is way more important than being committed to a relationship that is unhealthy. So the graphic I have here is there is still grief involved with letting a toxic person go. I can't tell you how many times I've met with an individual and they've said, "This, I don't understand why this hurts so much. You know, they've been hurting me, they've been mistreating me. They don't seem to care about me. It's always about them, but why does it hurt me so much to leave them behind?" You've built a life with that person. Maybe this is a close family member or a best friend, and they've been treating you in such a way that has been bringing you down, and the gravity of their actions and words used against you has created such a burden for you, and you're not sure. You feel maybe like you're abandoning them, or that you are leaving them behind or hurting them by choosing to disconnect from that toxic relationship. Ultimately, at the end of the day, it's your personal wellness and safety that matters the most. And if you need help exploring that, please feel free to contact some of the agencies that are listed in this video. Any of us would be more than happy to help you create a safety plan. Depression and sadness, all of these stages are not linear, which means they don't necessarily follow in an ABC order. They can be all scrambled up, or maybe you only experience one or two of them. Maybe it's over a long period of time, or it's all in one day. You can feel tons of emotions all at one time. Fear and sadness, happiness and anxiety. We are very complex beings, and we're beautifully made. So part of that complexity and beauty is being able to kind of handle multiple emotions at one time, but it can be very overwhelming for us. And that's why taking care of our mental health and self-care is so important, especially right now. With depression and sadness, this stage could be intense. It can be very overwhelming. You may not want to get out of bed. You may not want to talk to somebody. Darkness may be your friend right now, wearing a black hoodie, not putting makeup on, messy bun. It's okay. It is okay to feel these feelings. And it's okay to allow somebody in on your situation and get you through to the next part of your life. Because we don't want to stay stuck there. It's okay to feel those feelings, but you don't want to stay stuck down there. It's scary and it's lonely. The next point is you might even find yourself increasingly tearful. Again, it's okay to cry, whether you are a manly man or not. It is okay to have emotions, and don't let anybody tell you anything else. There has been so many changes since February in Mississippi. We've heard one plan, stage 2, tier 3, subsection C, and every day is a new day to start over and tackle the situation one piece at a time. The situation, I'm meaning life, waking up, having a goal for just that one day, choosing to be kind to yourself just for that day. We may want to make plans a week out, a month out. Some of us might have celebrated birthdays during this time and we weren't able to get together with family. It's very tough and it's very hard on people. But when we can adapt to our situation and overcome these obstacles that we're facing surrounding COVID and isolation, we can still connect with other people and become resilient by working together. And that's what we're going to talk about today. Like this graphic here, good things can still happen in the midst of chaos. Acceptance is one of the final stages of grief. It's realizing that, you know what, this is happening. I can see what's happening. I see this fact. I have to stay at home. Maybe I have to start late for school, but I can keep myself healthy and I can connect with my loved ones, even if that means doing it in a different way. At the end, I'm going to be okay. And choosing to hang your hat on those statements will help you get through a lot of things. I'm preaching to myself here. These are things that I have to do daily to make sure I don't become bitter, angry, and resentful to the people that I love the most, to my poor coworkers. If I carry all that baggage around and I have to work with other people to help others become safe, I can't be the best version of myself if I don't take care of myself. David Kessler describes in his article about a 6th stage of grief titled meaning. It's often in our darkest moments that we look for and can experience real meaning. Now, Sarah, how are you going to do that when all you see around you is just pain and grief and strife and people hurting? You have to find it. If you look for the light, you will find the light. If you listen to people speaking into your life and encouraging you, write it down. If somebody pays you a compliment, write it down. Flipping back and looking over those comments or those good experiences or gratitudes can really help you stay centered on what matters most in your life. Remembering what your values are, your core values, what orients your life, what helps you make your decisions. Think about ways you can find meaning in what you are experiencing in that moment. I love this quote by Cheryl Strayed. If it is impossible for you to go on as you were before, so you must go on as you never have. That can kind of sound confusing, but what that means is the old life that you were living before COVID has been all scrambled up. But now you have a choice to change and adapt and overcome, just like the Marine slogan, Semper Fidelis, finding ways to navigate new life. I don't really like the phrase new normal because it's never going to be normal. Normal is such a catchphrase word, but you can adapt and overcome these obstacles that you're facing right now and make life even better than what it was before. Sometimes the old way needed to go. Old relationships, people that you weren't able to connect with through the quarantine, you might needed to have to let them go before, but this was the opportunity to put some social distancing between you and the toxic people in your life so you could grow as an individual. So the sadness that you're experiencing from your separation and anxiety from no longer being with those people, understandable, because when you're used to being with people all the time and you don't have that anymore, for the extroverts, it's really tough. For the introverts, somebody I know said that I'm an introvert who likes to be included in extrovert activities. So it's kind of fun thinking about it that way. So just remember, everybody wants to be included in on what's going on, but sometimes we have to think about different ways of doing that. So I've got this graphic here. It says, life always finds a way. And if you're a Jurassic Park fan, you knew where that quote came from. So I have this tree that is in this hollowed out gully ditch thing. And if you look really closely, you can see where these red arrows are pointing to different parts of the root system. And the one that's pointing directly down is the taproot. And that's the one that is usually the one that goes straight down and it goes the deepest. It's the main connection to the food source. And then I'm going all biology on you. Yes, I am. Thank you very much. Without those connections, the tree will die. If you've seen this in your backyard before, if you cut down a tree but the root system is still active, sometimes there's still shoots, new parts of a tree that grow up from the root system that is still gaining food and water supplies. So think about that in parallel to what's going on with coronavirus. So our tree's been cut down. Our normal life as we knew it has been completely chopped and rerouted. But if we stay connected with the resources that bring life into us and nurture us, positive relationships, we're gonna grow. We're gonna look different than we did before. That's okay. That's how it happens. The importance of maintaining healthy relationships during COVID, it helps us create a feeling of safety and normalcy. Because this is a chaotic time that we're living in, and anything that helps us feel grounded, safe, and normal is going to help us thrive. Going back to school, this is important because we're going to be feeling disequilibrated, which means all mixed up. We have no sense of pattern or predictability because things are always changing. But when you can keep yourself grounded with people that love and support you, it helps you maintain that balance a little bit. Even virtual communication, y'all, can help lift your spirits. Anybody who speaks positivity and makes you feel like you are safe when you're with them is a positive influence in your life. And they can also be present to help notice warning signs of abuse or toxicity in your other relationships. Here are a few signs. So in a healthy relationship, it means that both you and your partner have mutual trust, respect, you're honest, you have equality, you enjoy personal time away from each other, and you enjoy time together. You make choices mutually together and making financial decisions together. And in an unhealthy relationship, it becomes a little weighted on one side more than the other. So one partner is trying to manipulate or control the situation a little bit. So maybe we have the silent treatment, not communicating, being disrespectful, dishonest, trying to control, spending time only with them, pressured to make certain decisions or do certain activities with them that you may not feel comfortable with. And in an abusive relationship, the communication is hurtful and threatening. There's mistreatment of the other person, accusations of cheating when it's not true, denying that their own actions are abusive and putting blame on the other person all the time. I wouldn't have been mad if you would have done this. I would have not done this if you wouldn't have done that. It's always an if, then, and blaming, right? And isolating their partner from others. That is a huge indicator. It's tricky though, because they make it seem like it's all okay and I love you so much that I just want to be with you and I want you to only be with me because I love you so much. But actions and words, when they don't match up with your definition of love, that's a huge red flag that that relationship is not healthy. All right, let's do some stuff. So you got something to write on? You got something to write with? It can be markers, it can be crayons, it can be colored pencils, whatever you want. But we are going to brainstorm some things. Brittney and Claire, if you guys want to chime in this part, that's fine. I want you guys to remember this. Asking your partner, what's the best way I can support you in this situation will save you a lot of trouble and energy. And when I say partner, it doesn't necessarily mean an intimate relationship, a boyfriend or girlfriend, husband or wife. It could be your coworker. When you sense some things inside of their world that's off or they don't seem like their normal self, just ask them, what's the best way I can be here for you in this moment? That can be such a huge help. And just let them talk and listen. So our first activity, second activity, is creating a vision board or a page o vision. It doesn't have to be a fancy cork board. It doesn't have to be a magnetized board. It can just be glued statements on a piece of paper or clippings from a magazine or a collection of pictures that you have that help remind you of things that you want to focus on. And we're going to move on here. We want to really stay focused during coronavirus, going back to school, going back to work. We practice self-compassion as we unpack what we are able to control and what we are not able to control. So on your piece of paper, I want you can do this however you want to. You can make a list or you can make a little wheel like in this diagram. But in the middle, I want you to write things that I can control. And inside that big circle, you can write whatever you want, but here's some examples that are pretty good. You can control choices that you make. Somebody gets mad and cusses you out and you get all bubbly, burned up on the inside. You have the decision to cuss them right back out, to fight them, or choose to start breathing longer and deeper and remove yourself from the situation in the safest and most practical way that you know how. You can choose the words that you use. You can choose how much effort you put in. Like school, for instance, there's going to be hybrid learning, learning at home, learning at school, masks, no masks, first half of the alphabet, last half of the alphabet. You may feel like you can't do it or you don't want to do it. But at the end of the day, you only get out of a program or school or counseling what you put in. If you sit there with your arms crossed, pouting, that's what you're going to get out of it. Numbing and not being present in that moment. But even as uncomfortable as the situation may seem, you can find things that are valuable that you can take away from that situation. You may not be with your best friend who's in the other half of the alphabet at the same time when you're at school, but guess what? You may have an opportunity to meet a new friend that really needs you to speak life into them. Or maybe they are speaking life into you and you just never talked to them before and a whole new relationship blossoms. You have control over your beliefs and opinions. People are going to have opinions from left and right, and you have the opportunity to choose what you believe. Your attitude, like I was saying about myself earlier, I have the choice to have a junky attitude and be mad all day long because I'm uncomfortable in this situation, or I got to figure out how to wear this thing and I can't breathe. Or I can say, you know what? I'm going to wear this because I care about other people and it's not about me right now. It's about the welfare of the people that are around me. And when we're all working together and supporting one another, we're going to be a little bit happier. So just take some time and explore what you can control, but think about the things that you can't. I don't know about you, but I can't control when it rains or when the sun shines. I can't control what people think about my profile picture or the blemishes on my face or my past mistakes, or if I do really, really good in school or at work and I get praised for that and people get bitter and jealous because I'm doing well. I don't have control over other people, just myself. How they feel, their mistakes, that's not my fault. Things that happen to me, that's not my fault. I can't control that, but I can control how I respond. Helping others and rumbling with vulnerability. Brené Brown is a fantastic writer and social worker, and she has some great insight in her book, Dare to Lead, that talks about this dairy thing. It's really hard to give feedback to people, especially when you're afraid that they're going to lash out at you, that they're not going to listen to what you are trying to tell them, or just tell you to butt out of their life, right? So you don't have to have all the answers. You just need to listen and ask questions and be present with them in that moment. Here's some examples of things you can say. You know what, I'm curious about the situation that you're in right now, and can you help me understand what's going on? I kind of concerned about how you've been. You don't seem like your normal self. Can you tell me a little bit more? And then when they share with you, you could say something like this. I see that was hard for you to talk about. Thank you for choosing to share that with me. How can I help you feel supported from here? Listen more, talk less. Now, how do you connect with someone who supports your values? Well, first you need to know what your core values are. What are the two most important things in your life that you feel like you need to live by in order to be happy? Is it your spirituality? Is it your sense of peace? Is it your sense of connectedness? Is it justice? Is it truth? Is it solitude? Name a couple values. Write them down on your paper. Try not to say things like music or sports or art. Think about some real life characteristics: integrity, respect, love, kindness, things like that. When you're done writing a couple things, I want you to think of someone who knows about your values, or maybe somebody you'd like to share your values with, and who will support your effort in living them out. Very important accountability factor here. This all ties in with dealing with grief and overcoming that, because you need to connect with people who are supportive and people who are helpful to you. So if you are stuck in a negative frame of mind and you're hanging around people who are nagging and complaining about the same things that you're struggling with, you may need to break away from them for just a while or indefinitely and start hanging with people who can help you level up. What does support from those people look like to you? Jot some ideas around about that. What can you do to support the hard work needed to live out your values? What that means is, what practical steps do you need to take to make sure that you are living a life that respects and reflects the values that you say you have? If you're not living out your values, do you notice any symptoms or signs within yourself or how you react and respond to other people when you're not leaning into those values? This can maybe take some time to really unpack these thoughts, because it's real deep work, but it's so worth it in the end when you can streamline a couple values that are really close to your heart. And when you're living in those values, how energized you feel and how empowered you feel when you know at the end of the day you lived within your values and you grew from that. Part of that is by creating a daily affirmation. Here's tons of examples on this slide right here, but just a few to name. I'm proud of myself. I take steps toward my dreams. I release my doubts and fears, because there's tons of it. The longer you scroll, the more doubts and fears will start popping up in your mind, right? Feelings are just visitors. I love this one. And I can let them leave out the same way they came in. So if you are starting to feel down, depressed, and anxious because you're on social media and you're seeing these pictures where your other friends are hanging out, or pictures where people are buying a new home, or they just got the brand new car, they got their driver's license, or they just got a new job, but you didn't, and you feel left out, you feel outcast, you feel not good enough, you may want to consider detaching from social media for just a little while. Moving on, I will transform myself. I am confident in my abilities. I will choose to focus on only the good things today, and I will count them as blessings. I'm not to blame for something that happens to me. Maybe write them on a note card, tape them on your mirror in your bathroom. Maybe you change your background on your phone to something that is a positive affirmation. So every time you go to look at your screen, it's a reminder, I release my doubts and fears. I will transform myself. This is a great activity to do, especially when you're at home with your family and you have multiple ages and stages of life living under one roof. It's called a gratitude scavenger hunt. I got this from one of my coworkers who found it online. Finding something outside you enjoy looking at. Even if you live together with multiple family members, it doesn't matter where you live. You can find something outside the window that you enjoy looking at. Maybe you go and discover something new. That could be inside the house, inside the yard. I know very early on with quarantine, I was stuck at home and I decided this was a good time to start a garden. I wanted to try my talents at my green thumb. I can't plant nothing, y'all. I think I got maybe 10 fruits of my labor out of my garden, but you know what? That's okay. I tried it. I learned some helpful strategies and I enjoyed the process because I did it with my kids and my husband and my dad. And it was just a very enjoyable experience. Finding something that makes you laugh. Wow, laughter is such good therapy. Maybe you're watching a Netflix movie or Disney Plus or something and you find a good throwback movie. Find something in the morning that you enjoy. I enjoy sleeping in the morning and drinking coffee. That is my happy. Maybe you wake up just a little bit earlier to watch the sun come up. There is such an awesome feeling when you make yourself wake up and you watch something as incredible as our sun coming up over the horizon and just warming everything up. The feeling from coolness to warmth and heat can create a sensation on your skin. Even watching the sunset, we made sure we did every single day as we went outside and sat in the driveway or we sat in our yard. And right around sunset time, we just took a moment to watch the sun go down and just kind of calm ourselves together. And that was such a self-regulating activity. And what I mean by that is it helped us kind of regain a sense of calm and comfort and safety with each other. Pause the video and look over some of them or do a screenshot. Here's some other helpful things that you can try. There's different apps out there like Calm, Headspace, and the Mindfulness app that allow you to have a free experience before you have to purchase the bigger version. But try them out. You never know what will work for you. If you have trouble sleeping at night, try listening to relaxed melodies or something like that where you can listen to rain falling or crickets. And that can really help you get some deep sleep and stay asleep naturally. I have an acronym up here that says Kiss Your Life Hello. Keep it safe and simple. This is not a time to overcomplicate your life or try to make everything fit in that used to fit in. We've all had so many very deep and painful struggles through quarantine and social distancing. This has been a great opportunity for us to remember and notice the things that are most important to us right now. And as we start coming out of quarantine and say social distancing, don't let go of the things that you have found that were good and healthy and uplifting for you while you had to stay at home. Maybe home was not safe and healthy for you, and there wasn't anything that you see to be good that came out of it. This is your opportunity now to start connecting with your school counselors, with people at Weems or NAMI or Care Lodge to be able to provide you with a sense of safety and calm and connectedness that you've been longing for. Again, check out the comments below and make sure that you connect after this. Note the most important things in your life and keep track of what energizes you. As an extrovert, it energizes me to be around people and communicate with them. So one of my strategies for self-care during quarantine was calling all of my people in the neighborhood that I am used to connecting with at work. Hey, what's life look like for you now? How can we connect? I started a YouTube and a podcast at work, and that has been really helpful. So what can you do to be creative and connect with people that you love or care about? Opportunities are endless, and there's lots of free things out there, y'all. Maybe you start a podcast about life as you know it, and you get all these followers and you become monetized. Shoot, you just made a job for yourself, and you're getting money to get online and do something cool. Do not forget this. Use compassion and empathy with others who grieve differently from you. There are some people who are going to make comments and call you weak for having a bad day, or if you're feeling depressed, or if you're feeling outcast. That is not fair, but we can't control, remember, what other people say or do, but we can control how we react and respond. We have the reins to our life. We can choose not to fight. We can choose not to say something nasty, hurtful, or mean back to those people. We can choose to hold on to the protective and promotive factors in our life. That teacher at school who listens to us, focus on those. And as I wrap things up, the things that you have been sharing, writing down on your paper, the comments below that you've made, remember to respect other people. Sit and listen more than you talk and give advice. Someone who's grieving will appreciate you sitting with them in silence more than sitting there and telling them that they're going to get over it, or this is not a big deal, or why are you so upset? You're so overreacting. Just sit there with them. Might be uncomfortable for you. However, it will be very heartfelt and comfortable for that person just to have someone close by or FaceTiming them and just being present in silence. So if you need to connect with Care Lodge, here's some ways to do that. We are on the following social media that are showing up right here, carelodge.com. Our safety line is 24/7, 601-693-4673, or you can use our handle Care Lodge MS on several different social media sites. You can check us out on YouTube, Care Lodge Living Well, or on Apple Podcast or SoundCloud, and it's going to be Care Lodge Finding Your Way. Brittney, Claire, do you guys have anything to add?
No, you did an awesome job. It was very informative. So I have nothing left to say, Claire.
I was just going to say, Sarah, thank you so much for that. You're always a breath of fresh air, and you're always amazing with your presentations. It's like a breath of life to be around you, you know. So I really appreciated that, and I definitely followed through all of the little tools. I did write down a few things. I don't know if I should share them right now, but I did love the quote that you used. You said, use compassion and empathy toward others who grieve differently than you. Almost just want to repeat it because that was just so powerful. So I want to say thank you today, Sarah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you once again, Sarah. We really appreciate you for stepping in for us and for talking about grief. Please remember that you can always stop by our building to see what all different things we have going on. And we appreciate you, Sarah, for doing this for us, for talking about grief, and for conveying the message that we do still grieve, not only for physical things, but also for the moments and for the times that we didn't have this year. So we appreciate you and we thank you.
Thank you so much. And again, if you want to connect to any of these agencies, please make sure that you look below for their contact information and don't be afraid to reach out. Thank you all.